I've interacted with quite a few cinematographers, and they always talk about getting that lighting right for the Indian skin tone, you know, to highlight the features or anything. But as a visual effects supervisor, do you also take that a lot into consideration?
Yeah, it's digital doubles, as one would call it, or digital makeup or facial replicas, or whatever you want to call it. So it's lighting is one thing. So it's obviously when one tends to block a shot, let's say someone blocks a shot with in a live shoot, they wouldn't necessarily use the principal talent, they'd use a stand-in. So the DP would light for the stand-in, then they bring the stand-in out, and then they get the principal talent in and shoot the scene and so on. Similar thing works for us, so we get a stand-in and shoot reference, and then on live we'd actually shoot lighting references to make sure the physical lights that you've got, say for example in here, would be physically measured and calculated so that whatever we replicate back in the studio is matching exactly what we've got here. With regarding matching skin and skin tone and so on, that's depends on a couple of factors. It's kind of tough because which one when you reference any kind of image or anything like that, or any individual, you're actually shooting them from the real world. When you're dealing with them in film, they're always wearing makeup. So matching someone who's actually been alive and since passed away, getting a live reference is obviously very tough. So any singular reference that they have. So whenever you're doing any kind of digital makeup work, you have to mimic the fact that makeup is being applied to the actor already, so everybody's familiar with seeing them or her with makeup on already. So you have to not only build the skin texture and build the skin tone, but you also have to add digital makeup on them to make it look real as such, which is kind of tough to do. So all the little small nuances and small irregularities in someone, little twitches, little tweaks, little kind of pop marks on the face, and if they've got a scar, I've got one here, kind of thing, adding those sorts of things where the moles are, and that kind of, it's the irregularities. If it's too perfect, then something doesn't seem right. And the thing is, especially with recognizable talent, the audience by default is an expert at CG. It's the same deal with like working with fluid work. It's like the waterfall stuff and the fire pits that we did within the night shots, and also within what we lovingly call the oven scene.
What is that scene?
The oven scene is it was a cutaway, two or three shots that was in the Sivagami's entrance within King's Court. So literally, she's walking down slow motion, marching with the babies and everything. And in the live set, they placed these fire pits and so on. And they placed them so close together because that was nice for that composition of that. And it was a totally green screen shot. Apart from the floor on this fire pits, it was a totally green screen shot. So to keep the continuity in the placement, we measured up the same places of these fire pits and we extended it back. So we built digital versions of these, did fire simulations for all these things, had torches hanging from the walls and so on, and built this corridor accordingly and staged it down based on references that we took from the live show and also from our own custom work. Staged it up, built it, put it in, rendered it, okie dokie. Then it looked like she was standing inside an oven because the amount of fire pits travelling down there was so many. She says, all these fires just blended together. So, my good God. I mean, I stood next to these fire pits when they were on. I mean, they were hot. So she would have melted. So hence the oven shot. It looks like she's gone inside a kiln. It's like that sari would combust. So thankfully that didn't happen, otherwise we'd be struck for a second part. So we designed the fire so it went up, down, up, down, up, down. So you didn't have just like a constant line and then offset, okay, the guy who staged it right wasn't perfect. So yeah, it wasn't perfectly straight. We created these irregularities just to kind of break up the shape and what have you. Same deal with the pillars and that kind of thing. So creating that fire, okay, we have reference of the live, so therefore we know the size, the scale, the speed, you know, the strength, how much fuel is in there. So all that simulation we can do. Simulating things like fire nowadays is a lot easier than what it used to be back in the day. It used to be really, really tough. So there are, you know, elements to it which we are familiar with. As for the whole story, he's keeping it pretty close. He's keeping it pretty close. I know what's happening in the climax. I'm not telling you. There's not enough money or death wish on the planet I could hope for. And do I know why Katapa killed Baahubali? Yeah.
No?
Of course I know.
Good luck with that.
I'm not telling you.